Hello, everybody. I have a truly remarkable guest with me today, Kimberly Roberts. Kimberly is an entrepreneur who has mastered the art of jumping off cliffs and now teaches others to do the same in their own lives and businesses. She is the chief rebel rouser and founder of Rebel Living, a site dedicated to those who want to start living their Sundays today. Storytelling is hugely important to her. It was actually the impetus for Rebel Living, as she believes that she's not alone in wanting to have lots of kick-ass stories to tell when she is 90. And I'm going to allow Kimberly to tell us more about this Rebel Living. I'm so excited about this. Welcome, Kimberly.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be a part of this, Milena. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Kimberly, what's the story behind this? Why Rebel Living?
Certainly. Oh, that's a great. It's one of my favorite stories. So I grew up in Indiana, and with simple family of farmers. Beautiful, beautiful country living out in the middle of nowhere. And my parents really inspired my brother and I to, despite not having much, to be able to have rich, vibrant adventures. So, for example, my brother had a huge passion for rocketry. Well, there was never going to be space camp in his future. And so rather than have him be disappointed with that, my parents invested in rocketry. So we did rockets in the backyard, in the pasture, in the cornfields, and, so that he could be able to enjoy that. And just note to self, Milena, never hold a cat while your brother is firing off a rocket. Just saying, it's not a good move. but just one adventure after another. My parents would wake us up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch meteor showers. My dad and I would have breakfast every morning together, and I'm eating my Cheerios and going over National Geographic, and he's telling me all these places that I could go and that I should do, and the people I would see and the things I would meet. And it just inspired a whole lot of adventures. And so I did everything as a kid. I was involved in everything. I was qualified for the Junior Olympics by the time I was 16. I was holding an office, an elected office, which is another story, by the age of 16. I was doing all sorts of crazy things. And then later, as I grew as an adult, it's like, do you remember in high school, the science experiment where they talk about the frog being put in the water and slowly the water is raised up, the temperature, and the frog doesn't realize that he's being boiled to death. And I find that happens so often with my clients. And that's what happened to me. I was, starting to just punch in and out of my life and doing the happily ever after formula that they all say that we're supposed to do. Go get the great education, get the great job, and go find yourself an amazing family, and boom, a happily ever after will happen for you. Well, the stats tell us that doesn't happen, and it didn't happen for me. I mean, just punching in and out of life, and it was the big moment of change was 5 days before I was then to move my then 16-year-old son out 3,000 miles away to Seattle. I found out that my then partner was cheating on me. And in one fell swoop, my whole existence, my whole identity as a mom, as a partner, just the roles that I had made for myself, I felt were gone. And after pulling myself up by my bootstraps to be able to get him settled in and mom's going to be okay to her teenage son out in Seattle, I came back and I was mentally, emotionally, physically just a lump of flesh. Wow. And was just moving from work to my brother's and just, I don't even remember a whole lot of what was happening there. But it was so scary. It was so scary because I had lost all my footings. And so it was so powerful to me that I'm like, you know what? I need to talk to somebody because I don't even have a touchstone, a touch point anymore because my identity is gone. And so I had my brother take me to one of the centers for mental behavior, for behavioral health, right? For mental health. And to just, check in, make sure, am I going to be okay? And thank goodness they didn't keep me in any rubber rooms. And they said, the very fact that you're asking questions, the very fact that you have that concern, that desire, tells us that you're okay. And of course, they gave me some great outpatient experiences, but it was one weird and synchronistic moment that the universe stepped in after another, wherein it told me everything was going to be okay. And I started finding me again. So for example, Milena, there was a guy at the parking garage of my work who popped in and was obviously hitting on me. Now, I wasn't interested in him at all. But what it told me, though, Milena, was that the universe was tapping on my shoulder and said, Kimberly, you're going to have love again. And like a week later, I was at the Sprint store and I was getting ready to change out my plan on my phone. And I have no poker face. And everything probably showed on my face. And she knew something was up. She asked me, the gal behind the counter, and I shared a little bit with her. And she said, oh, honey, that happened to me. I'm getting ready to go to lunch. Why don't you come with me? And, again, it was the universe telling me it's going to be okay and you're not alone in this. And so those moments I listened to, and that helped me to find some foundation to build off of, that, I was being taken care of. I had somebody with me. There were people here that I was walking with, and that it was going to be okay. And then I just started dialing back into Kimberly, and I started having crazy adventures again. And, I've driven a CAS car, which is Canada's version of NASCAR. I've driven an Indy Lights car. I've done competitive go-kart racing. I have moved to another country. I was in the U.S. Army. I have done all sorts of fun, crazy things. Been a serial entrepreneur. And then I just rolled that into, when I came to a point in my life that I found Scott Dinsmore from Live Your Legend, and I saw that he was doing something very similar. And I'm like, I never knew this is, there was something so formal for what I had grown the reputation for, the gal in the office, that if you've got a crazy ass idea, you go to Kimberly because she'll help you figure out how to make it happen. And so when I saw that about Scott and I was looking for what I was going to do next with my life, I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what I love doing. I'm doing it anyway. Let's just make it official. And so Rebel Living was created.
Wow, that's interesting. So how do you help your clients? What do you do for them?
Sure. So I am a lifestyle strategist, meaning I take my 30 plus years of corporate project management background and my experience with jumping off cliffs into one adventure to another. And I work with my clients to help them dig down deep into finding themselves again, too. Their authentic selves, their dreams, their things that they wanted to do, that they were meant to do. Yeah. That they had been packing away, waiting for the weekend, waiting for summer, waiting for retirement, waiting for the kids to get out of college, rather than waiting to start doing those things now and finding a way to do those. So then what I do, once we identify what those things are, is that I help them break it down into real actionable strategies that they can start doing. Meanwhile, I'm also having them explore random crazy ass adventures that come to them on a weekly basis, because I'm a firm believer, Milena, that when we jump off cliffs of ordinary experiences into extraordinary experiences, sure, we learn to lean into those experiences to be able to trust when the big, hairy, scary cliffs come to us of opportunity and adventure. Yeah. We've totally got this. We know down in our bones that we can totally do it.
That's so true, Kimberly. And I so agree with you. I know that for me, when I started living my life that way, just taking the opportunities, doing things I've never done before, do the things I would not do 20 years ago for some reason. Now, after 40, we get in this crazy mode, I guess.
You know what? It's still true.
Right? And life is exciting now. Every day is exciting. So
yes.
Thanks for sharing this message. And you know what? I love your slogan, live your someday today.
Yes.
Because people truly are waiting. They're waiting.
Someday I'm gonna go take a vacation. Someday I'm gonna own a restaurant. Someday. Guess what? Unless you've got some crystal ball I don't know about, none of us really know how many somedays we have left.
That's right. And what do you think is that main point that could help people just start living today, not waiting for the circumstances to change, for the right partner to come along, but just today live that, have that experience, or what's the strategy that I can use?
Sure. So one of the things that I employ with my clients and with speaking engagements that I do is talking about the fear of regrets, making that bigger than the fear of failure. And what I mean by that is I've done research and found that there was a gal by the name of Bronnie Ware. She was an Australian palliative care nurse who set out to record the regrets of the dying. And it struck me so powerfully because the overwhelming biggest regret that people had that were on their deathbed was that they had gone and lived their lives the way that everybody else expected them to versus the way that they really had wanted to.
Yes.
Now imagine that for a moment. Imagine and have your listeners just close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself as a 90-year-old and thinking about your family all around you and think about you're telling all these great stories of all these great adventures you've done, all the things that you'd always wanted to do, the differences you made in people's lives, the transformations you made in the world. And then think about having that same scenario, your family around, and you not having done those stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what a difference it's going to make to your family, to the people around you, to yourself. And I believe the world when we all plug in and do the things that we're really meant to do.
Oh my
So
gosh.
fear of regret is a huge thing that I talk about.
This is so powerful. This is one of the things that actually changed my life. Because when I came to Canada, I worked for our administrative assistant job, which is not me. I'm a creative person. I was in personal development before, but this was my first kind of survival job here. And then one day I'm listening to Wayne Dyer, and he had this sentence, don't die with that music still inside of you. And I was like, oh my God, if I die today, would I regret something? I was like, yeah, I didn't live the life I wanted to. And that totally changed my life.
It does. It does. It is the fuel in my fire, for sure.
Yeah. So tell me, I know that one thing that people definitely will struggle or are struggling if they're living life, like you say, jumping off the cliffs and so, is probably the criticism of their relatives or friends.
Of course.
Even their guilt. Well, people expected me to do this, but I'm doing something else. Is that really okay? How can they deal with these things?
It's a very good question. And you're right. It is one that comes up because, and I know you mentioned earlier too, that, especially at midlife at 40s, we always like make this switch and go all crazy. But you know what? I'm finding that people far younger than us are realizing that mindset shift far earlier, which I'm excited to see because that's the kind of change I want to have happen. And so it's really exciting. So it really isn't just an age that you get where we all go a little crazy. It is happening much sooner. But one of the things that I've seen in my travels is, especially with culture, coming from different cultures where, especially with the young people, their families have such high expectations for them to pursue a particular pathway, and they've come to me like, well, what do I do? How do I do this, right? And again, I go back to, you get one shot at this.
Yes.
You get one shot at this. And yes, they gifted you this gift of life. And the people that are coming to you with fears or being upset or having emotions, it's coming from this fear of you not being able to do the things that you are supposed to do and to have success in the life that they are coming from a place that this is the way that they know how to get that. And that's their formula that they thought they were supposed to do, and they want good for you. So recognize first that the people are coming to you with whatever emotions coming to you and they're judging you with is from a position of with good intentions, right? So that's the first thing, is recognize that that's where they're coming from. Secondly, though, it is coming from a fear of not wanting to see you fail and not wanting to see bad come to you. And so what I have found for my clients is that, yes, you only get one life at this. This is yours to drive. This is your life. They gave you the keys. It's yours to drive. And if you don't do it, if you don't find a way to make your life yours, it's like having the greatest trip ever to Disney World that you've always dreamed about going to do, and then sitting on a park bench and not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's yours to drive. And so when people start plugging into, doesn't have to be a huge shift, doesn't have to be like drop everything and change your life forever, but just start incorporating those things into your life, and they start seeing how it accelerates and charges you, that fear is going to diminish. But at the end of the day, it's yours to drive.
It really is. It really is. Are you also helping your clients finding what that is? Because I see that a lot of people are very confused. They don't really know what their lives are about, what excites them. It's very difficult for them to find what is it that makes me feel alive. So how do you do that?
That's very true. It happens with both my men and my women clients. It's, I don't even know where to start anymore, Kimberly. I don't even know. I just know things aren't right and I want it to be different. I know I'm supposed to be doing more. I just don't even know where to start. Where do I start? And so part of the programming that I do with my clients in deep diving into who they were, what were their interests before, like the last time that they can remember, really start exploring those. So we start with what we know, but also I layer on those crazy ass little mini adventures that happen as well, because not only is it to teach them experiences that they can lean into, that yes, I tried something different and it didn't, I didn't have mud on my face and the world didn't laugh at me. It was fun. It was exciting for the experience of doing something new, but it's also for them to, as an opportunity to discover something that they might not have ever discovered before that they actually like. So there's a combination of those things. And then what I teach them is to explore the rabbit hole further. So if on an adventure, the crazy adventure that comes on your text each week is to go sing karaoke one night, and you go and you do it for the week, and you come back and you say, Kimberly, oh my God, I never knew how much fun that was. I've only sang in the shower, but that was great fun. So then I encourage my clients to explore that more. Mm-hmm. So they're not only samplers to get them to jump off the cliffs and lean into that exercise and that repeated behavior that they know that they can do it, but it's also a discovery process for them as well.
You know what I believe, Kimberly, and I want to check in with you if you feel the same way. I feel that what we love doing as kids, as children, that's what our real passion is. Just like you said, you were doing all this crazy thing, right? Yes. And exploring, and now you're doing the same thing. I know I was doing the same things when I was a little girl. I believed in the power of dreams. I was all in personal development when I was a little child. Seriously, my friends would always consult me when they had relationship problems or whatever. And that's what I'm doing today.
It's so true. Yes.
As children, we know who we are, and then we forget. We get amnesia later on.
Yes, we do. I love that. It's so beautifully crafted. Yes, it is so true. I believe that we do. We come here knowing, and it starts just ebbing away, right? It just starts ebbing away, and then the journey is to find it again.
That's right. Are there any certain qualities that people would need to develop, like courage or anything like that, for them to really jump into life, start living today?
I think the biggest one that I could start with, and the easiest one for people to get into, that's going to build up to breaking into more courage, is curiosity. To allow that childlike curiosity to be explored more. So if you have a giggle in your heart about something, go with it. See where it takes you. Follow that giggle and see where it goes. So if you love to read a particular type of book, go and find out other books. Maybe, learn more about the author or learn more about where it took place at, or, follow the giggle and see how far it goes.
That is so amazing. Really, really good advice. So what is that main core message? Something that when you meet people, you tell them and, their eyes just lit up. They know, wow, I got to change something.
Yeah, my big one is, there are 7 days in a week and some day isn't one of them. And
yes, love it.
That is my big one. I'm like, if there's nothing else you remember from our conversation, that is the one thing I want you to walk away with, because I am on a mission, Milena, to influence and impact 1% of the world. And it starts with one person, one adventure, one dream, one moment after another for each person. And I want society to change its perception of, when you go to school, I don't want the guidance counselor to ask you what job do you want or what career do you want. I want them to be asking, what are your passions? How do you plan on exploring these passions? When you go to hire for a job, I want society to have changed to where the job is like, okay, so what are your passions? Okay, let's look at how we can use those passions within what we need, and start changing this dialogue, because I truly believe that with more people authentically being themselves, that our world would be dramatically different.
True. And you know what? I feel like the world, the society is trying to mold us into something, right?
Yes.
You have to have education, you have to have this, you have to know by the age of, 15 almost, what you want to be for the rest of your life. You have to follow a certain path, you have to get married, just like you said, and that was a message from my family to me as well, right? Everything has to be in this, literally shaped into a certain model of who you are supposed to be. But I think that, at the end of the day, if you don't have that college degree or university degree, who cares? Look how many people are successful today without education. Not that I'm saying anything against education. I have education myself too. I'm just saying, what if not all of us have to go the same way?
Exactly. It's not that same path for everybody. And education is great. It's great for education's sake, but it's not the, you get your rubber tree plant for success at your corporate job and happily ever after gets with it, right? It just doesn't happen. The stats don't prove out. 80% of us are not happy in our work. Over 60% of college grads are not working in their field of study. And let's talk about marriages. Over 50% result in failure. So their formula is not working. So thus rebel living, rebelling against conventional way of living is what I'm all about, and creating this revolution to change the world.
Wow. Perfect. Really great content. What do you think, though, is the number one thing people can do to snap out of the world that was created for them, of that thinking that, this is how I'm supposed to live my life?
Well, and I think it goes back to doing that exercise about imagining that story of you sitting there at 90 years old, not many days left, telling that story of your life to the people around you, and the difference, what stories are you telling people? Do you have stories? And if you don't, how do you feel about that?
Yes.
And then start reverse engineering that. Okay, if that is not a place that you in your gut want to have happen, then what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. What changes can you make now? And what are the stories you want to paint? And how are you going to go get them? Those are your stories to write. And yes, you've got the pen, and you're the only one who can write them. Mm-hmm. And what I was also saying too is that you don't have to go out, and I know a lot of people are waiting until they have enough money for something to happen, or they're waiting till a spouse or a partner might be along with them on the adventure, or they're waiting until they have time away from the kids and they have freedom. And you know what? All of that is bunk. Because the changes, the experience, the feeling that comes from plugging into what you're supposed to be doing, those things that you've always wanted to be doing, those things that have been nipping at you every time you drive to your job, those things that yell at you in your shower, that are gnawing at you all the time, when you start doing a little bit of those every day, that's the experience. It's not necessarily, it's like the planning of a wedding. Mm-hmm. You know how you took 6 months, 8 months to plan the wedding, and then it was over in 20 minutes?
Yeah.
But there was the experience of planning that whole wedding the whole way through, and it was having a little bit of that wedding every single day that you love. That's the part that you had a big feeling with. Not only the culmination of, obviously, the important ceremony. So what I'm saying is, I like to tell my clients, okay, so maybe you want to have a round-the-world trip, and your partner doesn't want to go. You're self-employed, you don't have the money yet, you're waiting for the kids to get out of school. There's ways to make that experience be felt right here and now. Yeah. So break it down. So maybe you take a class online for free to learn some of the languages that you would experience on your trip. Maybe you and your spouse go to the groceries and you go and pick out exotic foods that you can cook exotic recipes together at home. Maybe there are ways that you can start building up points that you can not take a big of a dent when you take your travel, and you book your calendar, like calendar it out of what you're going to be doing. There are ways to take that adventure and start living it now and not waiting.
That's right. That's so true. And you know what, something came up for me as you were talking about these things is one thing that I feel people can connect with their dream or figure out what they want is watching movies. And I'll tell you why.
Yes.
Some movies are so inspiring. I know that to me, some certain type of movies are inspirational and I'm like, I want to do that. And some of them just don't touch me at all, that are for somebody else, the total example of, wow, that's what I want to have in life. Let's say one of the things was years and years ago. Oh, I was a kid at that time when the movie came out, Good Morning Vietnam with Robin.
Oh, yes.
I loved it. I loved the way he inspired people. He made them laugh. And I said, I want to have a radio show one day. That's what I want to do.
Yes.
And now I have my podcast.
Hey, look at you.
Right? And it's that thing. And I think that that's one of the ways people can find out what is it.
It's so true. And you followed your giggle.
Mm-hmm.
You followed your giggle, yes. And you saw it on the movie and it kept at you and you followed it and just kept with it and you found a way to make it happen.
Well, you know what? I truly believe that what you dream about, that's what you're going to bring to life.
That's so true. Like one of your other podcast guests, Dana Smithers, and talking about the art of manifestation. And it's so true. Like the recorder that you have in your head, you know, the voice that plays over, whether it's from parents or some other external influence, or it's your own, culminated over the years, it's yours to program that. Yeah. It's yours to stop the recorder of the bad and re-record it into the good. And the art of manifestation is so true.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kimberly, let me ask you a very personal question.
Yes, please.
What is next on your jumping off the cliff?
That's a great question. Well, I started to allude to it a little bit. I have just crafted a big, hairy, scary mission for me. And I am going out on a limb and really taking up arms to and enlisting people with me in the revolution I want to seriously impact 1% of the world and changing and start having them live there some days today. And so one of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm creating my own app it'll be similar to like a Pokemon Go, and it's going to be all about making people's dreams happen and having others help each other make each other's dreams happen. It's going to be freaking fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I love the idea.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's huge. It's daunting. It's I'm super excited. I'm like on pins and needles about it. Yeah.
You definitely have to keep me posted when the app is up and live and working, because I want to try it out.
For sure. I would love to have you a part of that. And in the meantime, other giggles I'm following is I'm getting ready to go I'm right now in Seattle. I drove across Canada. I spoke at a conference. I was fortunate enough to finally meet you, and drove down to Seattle to see my son and giving him my car, which is the whole reason I drove. Okay. And so I'm here for another couple of weeks, and then I'm flying off to Orlando for a retreat, and then I fly from there to Costa Rica for 3 months. So, and then just keep going. Yeah.
That is a rich life, right?
It is. I'm doing the things and I'm going to the places that my dad pointed out to me in the Cheerios mornings with him in the National Geographic.
Yeah. And you know what? Thank you for sharing this with us. You are truly an inspiring person.
Oh, thank you for having me, dear.
Oh, look, you're living the life
yes.
that you chose to live.
Yes.
Right? That is so inspiring to me. It's like, wow, what if everybody would live life like this? I actually believe if we did, there would be no crime.
I agree with you. I'm 100,000% behind that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the reason why there are wars and crime is because people just don't know who they are. They're fighting for someone else's cause or whatever. They're confused about their lives.
Yes.
You, on the other hand, you are a true example what life should be like, how we should be living every day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And also of you and what you're doing here, this great work that you're doing and inspiring and gathering all these great people of influence to be able to be in one space. And you, my dear, are living that giggle that you had as a kid when you watched that movie. And you are influencing and transforming people's lives.
Thank you, Kimberly. And you know what? I truly am. I do live the life of my dreams right now with everything I do. And I'm really happy. I've never been happier in my life than I am now.
It's like Christmas Day every day when you know that you what you're doing is it. It is totally like that.
You know what? You just said something that I just had in my mind yesterday. Yesterday, I went to the store and I said, I'm going to create a new vision board for me. It's time to put new dreams out there. And so I did. And then I see these ribbons, Christmas ribbons. And I said, what if I put one of these ribbons on my vision board because every day should be Christmas? And now you are saying the same thing.
It's so true. It is.
Oh my gosh, you're so inspiring. Thank you so much for being here. And tell me, just before I let you go, where do our listeners find you?
Sure. So my website is rebellivin, LIVIN.com. And come find me there. We've got a group on Facebook. So it's Rebel Livin, the Revolution. So come have some fun with us there as well. And I'm on Twitter at Rebel Live, LIVEN on Twitter.
Awesome. I will make sure that all these links are in the podcast description so that everybody can find you easily.
Great.
Yeah.
And I'm loving connecting with you and your listeners, and any way that I can support them, please feel free to reach out. There's some bunch of goodies that are on there, so take advantage of those as well on the website.
Oh, thank you, Kimberly. And I would love to have you back again and hear more about your adventures.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I will definitely keep in touch for sure. Thanks so much, Milena.
Thank you for being here today.